Thank you. Good evening. We want to welcome our viewers of the Johnson City Government Information Channel on Charter Cable Channel 192 and Comcast Cable Channel 17 to this live telecast of the December 12, 2017 Johnson City Regional Planning Commission meeting. This meeting will be rebroadcast on Friday, December 15th, 2017 at 12 p.m. noon. So we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And our first order of business will be for our invocation and our pledge. Commissioner Cooper.
We gather to make decisions for our community. May we use only our best skills and judgment, keeping ourselves impartial and neutral as we consider the merits and pitfalls of each matter that's placed before us, and always act in accordance with what is best for our community and our fellow citizens. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda will be the approval of the agenda.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And the next item on our business today will be to move to the approval, our subdivision approval, along Cemetery Road in Washington County. Hi, Matt.
Yes, sir. This is a 3-lot subdivision on the end of Cemetery Road in Washington County. It is within the Johnson City planning boundary, so we do have subdivision approval. This came to us because at the time there were 3 mobile home units on the property as one lot, and county zoning states that each mobile home unit must have its own lot. Each lot that created is over 1 acre, so they're not required to have sewer provided by the city or water. TDEC has approved these lots, and Washington County zoning also recommends approval of this subdivision, as well as the city.
Thank you, sir. Have any questions for staff?
All 3 of those are presently on septic tanks.
Yes, sir.
And do we have any responsibility to make sure that the property lines dodge the septic tank system?
Do we?
Yeah.
No, that would be TDEC.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Move we accept.
We need to have open public
excuse me.
comment. So we'll go ahead and ask anybody wishing to speak for or against the approval of this subdivision to please step forward at this time.
Thank goodness you didn't offend anybody.
That's right. I don't see anybody stepping forward, so we'll go ahead and close public comment at this time. Then we'll open up for deliberation and motions. Go ahead. I got a motion to approve, Commissioner
Yes, sir.
Cooper?
Second.
And a second from Ms. Clark. Go ahead and call the roll, please, ma'am.
Commissioner Lowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Sandos?
Yes.
Commissioner Wild?
Yes.
Chairman Zions?
Yes. Let's back up for a moment and ask for a review of the minutes from last meeting on November 14, 2017. I need a motion for approval of the meeting minutes if they meet your...
So moved.
Okay, we got
Second.
and a second. Let me get it straight today. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Motion passes. We have the minutes approved now. Let's go to the number 2 on the new business for tonight, and that's final approval of the replat of these lots, 33, 34, 35, and 36, what's called a Southwest Addition.
This is a piece of property on West Maple Street. It's currently, although it currently appears on the tax map as just one parcel, it is actually made up of a number of lots and partial lots. It is made up of part of lot 33, all of lot 34, all of lot 35, and part of lot 36. This is how this piece of property has been deeded since it was first subdivided in the early 1940s, I think 1941. The developer intends to, the image on the right shows the location of the property. It currently has a house on it, which is addressed 725 West Maple Street. And there is an open space or vacant area right beside that house, which some other person intends to buy and to construct another house on this piece of property. It has a stormwater management easement on the west end, which precludes the building of about 35 feet, makes 35 feet of that piece of property unbuildable. The developer proposes to subdivide this property, create 2 lots. So we're going from 4 or 2 full and 2 halves into 2 lots. Ordinarily, if you're just changing 2 lots into 2 lots, just adjusting 1 lot line, that will qualify for administrative approval. But because of those halves that are all added, there is a gray area there, and staff thinks that it's necessary for Planning Commission to rule on this instead of handling it administratively. The replat as proposed will involve the building frontage for each of these lots. Lot 34 replatted would be 76 feet, and lot 35 replatted would be 75 feet. This does not meet the lot frontage requirement in the R2 district where this property is. However, it exceeds the lot frontage of most other lots within this particular area. Most of them are just 50 feet, as lots of records. The Board of Zoning Appeals considered the building frontage and granted a variance to it, reducing it from 70 feet to 76 feet for lot 34R, and reducing it from 90 feet to 76 feet for lot 34R, and from 90 feet to 75 feet for lot 35R, subject to the Planning Commission approving this plat. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the plat.
Thank you, sir. Have any questions for Esong? Mr. Bernard? No. All right, we'll go ahead and open up public comment to speak for, against, or in the middle regarding this replat. Anybody here wishing to speak regarding this matter? All right, please. Glad to have you. Please give us your name and address.
My name is Avery Green. I own the house, the property, and we've been working on this for a while. Basically, my family and I have been mowing the lot and paying taxes on it, and let someone grow a garden on it once, but that's about it. And so the individual who wishes to buy, his name Michael May, he wasn't able to be here. He texted me and said he couldn't make it. He doesn't get off till 7. But I think what is being proposed is the best scenario. The way it's deeded, Mr. May does have a plan for the smaller lot, a house plan that would work, but it's really less benefit to everyone in this case. So anyway, I just wanted to make sure you guys knew I was in favor for it, and I was the owner.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Anybody else?
My name is Harold Hunter. I live at 512. Almost everybody has at least 2, or in my case, I've got 3. I've got a 75-foot wide lot. And we're very aware of the issues where it's been downzoned to R2, which of course it doesn't comply with anything really. But I think historic zoning has kind of deferred this. It did come before us last month. We deferred it pending your pending zoning appeals and your decision on this. And I think we would have no problem at all. This kind of brings it into compliance, as Mr. Bernard said, with every other lot around that, in that area.
Thank you, Mr. Hunter. Appreciate you coming. Anybody else wishing to speak for or against? Seeing nobody jumping up, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing regarding this replat and open it up for deliberation on the commission.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve
Second.
and a second. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Lowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Sandos?
Yes.
Commissioner Weil?
Yes.
Chairman Zions?
Yes, and thank you, Mr. Hunter. Thank you, Mr. Green. This just makes sense for this area, and it looks like a great solution for everybody involved, so good job. All right, so our next item on the new business will be the request for preliminary plat approval of Park Place Phase 3.
The Park Place Phase 3 subdivision plat, preliminary plat before Planning Commission today involves the creation of 20 lots. It's a 20-lot major subdivision. Phase 1 and Phase 2 have all been built, completed, infrastructure in place. And this particular development will simply involve extending those infrastructures into Phase 3 by the developer. So all utilities that are necessary are available, and this project will not exceed the capacity of those utilities to service the development. Celia mentioned this is a 20-lot major subdivision. The Planning Commission at its meeting 2 months ago recommended that this particular area be annexed into the city. This be annexed into the city. The City Commission approved that annexation, so this is going to be inside the city limits, not in the urban growth area. The zoning that was attached to it was R2A zoning. The lots as proposed, they meet the street frontage requirement and the lot size requirements for properties in the R2A district. So this meets zoning code requirement for R2A. The developer, as shown, proposes a loop street that will basically extend Harbor Approach to Oliver Approach. And then a street stop will be created for future extension into the undeveloped piece of property that is currently in the county. Staff has reviewed this. It meets subdivision regulations except one item, which is the lot length to width ratio of 3:1 maximum. This will require for lot 1 and lot 2, as shown, that extend far to the end of the river. You know, these lots extend to the end of the river. And the developer is requesting a variance to this lot length to width ratio. And I think the applicant who submitted that variance this year, he can present the case for the variance to the commission.
Okay. Thank
Staff is recommending that this be approved.
And there's only 2 of the 20 that are
That would exceed.
requesting the variance.
Yeah, that would exceed that ratio.
Thank you, Song. Anybody here with further questions for staff? No, seeing none, we'll go ahead and open up public comment. Is anybody wishing to speak for or against, please step forward. Howdy, if you can give us your name and address.
Yes, my name is Jonathan Lewis. We represent the developer Highlands, and Mr. Isaacs, we're Highlands Engineering, and I live at 798 Summer Sound Road in Piney Flats, Tennessee. The 2 lots that we are asking for the variance are kind of unique in that they extend to the main channel of Boone Lake. So, you know, I would say more than half of that lot is located within an easement that TVA has a flowage easement upon. So it's kind of a unique situation. You know, they're very long, but most of that land you really can't
Hopefully it's
use.
going to get shorter in time.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So that is the reason we are requesting the variance on those 2 lots.
Okay, thank you very much.
If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Yes, sir. Anybody else wishing to speak for or against? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public comment and open up for deliberation and motions.
Move to approve.
We have a motion. I'm going to assign a second.
That's fine.
So, call the roll.
Commissioner Lowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Sandos?
Yes.
Commissioner Wild?
Yes.
Chairman Zayons?
Yes. Thank you. All right, so that was approved unanimously against, huh? So next item and last item on the agenda for the night will be the request for preliminary plat approval of the Cottages of Cedar Rock Phase 1 subdivision.
Good
Mr.
evening.
Manley.
Yes, so this development came before you as a rezoning from B4 to RP3 a couple of meetings back, and now the developer is trying to move forward and would like to, and has submitted this preliminary plat for Phase 1. This just includes the area that was rezoned was 4.96 acres. This is 1.522 acres of that. This includes 12 lots that are along Suffolk Road, so there's an existing street there. There's no construction of a street involved with this plat. All the lots that are proposed meet the minimum requirements for the RP3 zoning district. They are 50-foot wide lots, which meets the minimum, which is 40 feet. They are, on average, about 5,500 square feet in total square footage for each lot, and that exceeds the minimum, which is 4,000 square feet. One thing of note is that they have the open space from the concept plan had the corner lot at the corner of Hammett Road and Suffolk Road. That lot was designated as open space, and that has now been opened up as a lot that they would like to include in this plat. And they have moved the open space to a narrow strip running along the back of these properties and adjacent to a temporary stormwater management area easement. And you can see that open space would connect with existing open space that is part of the previous development, the Cedar Village Phase 2. Public utility services are available and are sufficient in capacity. And other than that, there are some issues that we would like to have on the record tonight. That everything that staff has seen as part of this submission is we would recommend approval on, but there are some concerns with how they're going to handle stormwater as they move into Phase 2 that could affect what is approved tonight. And that would be something that we would essentially deal with in the final plat stage, but we do want to have it on the record tonight. So I would ask Alan Cantrell, is you here? If you could speak to those stormwater concerns briefly.
Through seeing the construction plans for the previous and adjacent development, and then actually getting some preview of the construction plans for Phase 2 or grading for this site, we're aware that a division line for the separation of the way water flows when it's raining is somewhere in this area. And what falls on this side of the division line works its way into a detention basin off screen right here. And what falls on this side of the division line works its way off the property and across another property, and then finally back to the same watershed. Our concern is that the common law that we enforce in Johnson City is a Tennessee, not a statutory law, it's a case law-based thing, where if you take property or water from one watershed and move it to another, you're open to the damages that may cause, to paying for those damages. So we try to watch out for that and keep things going in the general direction that it would go naturally. The criteria for that is that you can't increase the velocity even in the same watershed. You can't increase the volume. And a third aspect that's kind of gotten in there is you can't change the location that water leaves and you can't move it to another location.
Across somebody else's property.
Across somebody else. Now, that's almost impossible to adhere to. As I explained to you in the workshop, if I mow my grass and make it shorter, I increase the amount of water that leaves my property. And I may even cause a rut with my lawnmower and make it move to another location. So there's a tolerance level. And what we want to be on record is tonight, this is approvable layout. In every way, it meets the requirements that we need to know for a preliminary plat. But we have this knowledge of the shape of the ground that Phase 2, how it will drain. All of Phase 1 drains to the detention basin that the previous development built. So that what you are approving tonight does not change direction. But what will come along in Phase 2 will be diverted from what we currently think we know about Phase 2. That can probably be engineered, but that's going to be some very careful engineering that would answer these concerns that we have about the common law.
So we're not going to say to you, don't approve this because of that, but we want to be on record about our concerns that may arise in Phase 2.
Alan, do we still have the potential that at final approval, there might still be a stormwater issue with Phase 1?
I think a song explained that I was a little bit out of date on, that there may be a construction of a ditch line or a berm back here that has to take place before final plat approval
For Phase 1?
for Phase 1.
And that cannot be bonded, that has to be built.
That cannot be bonded and go straight to final plat. As we approve the construction plans for that ditch line, which will be diverting water to another location, that's where we'll have to iron out these concerns that we have. So the approval of the ditch line kind of leads to answering some of these questions.
Manley.
Besides that, staff recommends approval.
Yes, sir, thank you. And thanks for helping us just understand what we're looking forward to in the future. Any questions for staff? No. And we'll go ahead and open up public comment for anybody wishing to speak for or against. Please approach the podium. Glad to have you.
Good evening. My name is Sam Lindley. I'm with Benchmark Design. We did the design on this. One of the requirements for
Get your address too, I'm sorry.
address,
Yes, sir.
909 Ridgecrest Road,
Thank you.
Johnson City. When we did the design on this, we got comments back from the staff, and we worked on putting a temporary detention basin in this area over here that's, hatched over in this area. And because the detention basin will hold the water, and what we do is we cannot change or we cannot keep the volume from increasing as for any type of development. Matter of fact, any development that's done increases the volume of water. But we will release the water into the drainage area where the future development, future commercial is. There's a large gully down through there, and that's where we'll be adding the water. But we are holding the water back so that the total flow volume is exactly the same as the pre-development. And that's how we're addressing the potential issue. If the future development goes on, we'll be doing other water detention for that development when that occurs. And I think that answers your question, Mr. Cooper.
It does, but I think the main thing is, does your client understand that there's a significant concern from the staff that that might be quite a challenge to manage that stormwater come Phase 2?
Yes, and we are used to doing those type of challenges in our design.
You may have caught us at a prickly moment because we've been dealing with water flows
Yeah.
onto other people's property.
Oh,
It's no
yeah.
big deal when it's on your development. It's when it hits on somebody else's development, and then
I
that starts to be an issue. So, thank you for helping us. Anything else you'd like to tell us? No? All right.
Now, thank you.
Any further folks like to speak for or against? Seeing nobody standing up, we'll go ahead and close the public comment and open it for discussion.
We approve.
I have a motion for approval. Looking for a second?
Second.
Ms. Clark beat you to it. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Lowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooper?
Yes.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Sanders?
Yes.
Commissioner Wild?
Yes.
Chairman Zion?
Yes. And now I need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
So move. The only other thing I'd like to say as we adjourn is thank you for Angie Carrier and her service to the planning department for, 6 years? We really appreciate everything that she's done. We miss her. And thank you for Mr. Stahl for shepherding us in the interim period between having directors. So again, thanks, Ms. Carrier. And we adjourn.